We are just under a month away from the Academy Awards nominations, and folks, it has been one incredible year for film. So, one of the biggest categories to dive into, obviously, is Best Director. We've already been through Best Actress and, of course, Best Actor, but now we're going to dive into the December update for the Best Director category. Before we dive in, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, also hit me with the like button. Also, share your thoughts on the best director nomination race. Who do you think the five are in? Who do you think are some wild cards that could surprise people on nomination morning? There's always surprises whenever we get the nominations in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this best director race. Without further ado, this has been one of those months where I believe we have really cemented ourselves with one and two, right? We have two locks in this category, and really from there, it can go just about anywhere. But this month, we had a little bit of a shakeup. I have two new nominees that I believe are going to get nominated, two people on the outside looking in. But without further ado, I'm going to dive right into my top five, who is in, and then after that, I'm going to say who's on the outside looking out, outside looking in, and who could potentially play spoiler on Oscar morning. Without further ado, I've got sliding into the fifth slot, jumping right into that fifth slot, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things. It's a film that I have battled back and forth with on whether or not we'll see it in this category. But as of right now, I do think that he jumps into my five right now. It's a film I'm still unsure of how it plays, but it's not any different or any crazy or any more unique than any other films that we've seen nominated in the past. So I do think that Yorgos could see this Best Director nomination. Coming in at number four, another new entry for me. I spoke a little bit about it last month, and we've seen a lot of momentum head in his way, and that's Jonathan Glazer for the Zone of Interest. Every year we do see a foreign film slide into the Best Director category, and it really feels like the Zone of Interest is really going to be that film. Los Angeles Film Critic Association more recently gave Glazer the Best Director win, where we have seen Christopher Nolan kind of dominate this category across the board. Glazer, Lanthimos, and Nolan are the only directors with those big time wins so far with the critics groups. Glazer obviously kind of getting that noticeable snub from Critics' Choice, which was definitely interesting to see. But Lanthimos is really getting some, real strong backing of the critics groups, which was expected, but still interesting to see kind of how it plays out. Coming in at number three, Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig is somebody that I really feel like is a lock for a nomination. I don't think she's ever in the conversation for winning, but I really feel like my three, two, one are in that cusp of lock. I think she's on the cusp of locking. It's definitely one of those films that we could see. I mean, the top three films, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, we can expect anywhere between 8, 9, 10, 11 nominations across the board for all three of these films. So it's not definitely surprising to see it in this Best Director category. But Greta Gerwig for Barbie sliding at number three, basically standing pat. Along with standing pat, number two, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. It's Martin Scorsese. He directed a movie. It might not be my favorite film or my favorite film of Scorsese's filmography, but it's a film that's playing very well with individuals across the board. So because of that, with it being Scorsese, with it being the Academy, with his rich history with the Academy, this seems to be a no-brainer here at number two. Coming in at number one, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. You hate to sit here and say, hey, this person is a lock to win something this early in the race, but there's just no way. They're right. There's just no way that this award goes to anybody but Christopher Nolan. It's the overdue win. It's an immaculately directed piece that I truly believe deserves the recognition of Best Director. Nolan has been doing this for very many years. Should have been in the conversation. Should probably even maybe have a win by now. But that being said, sliding in number one, my predictive winner, and I do believe this will not change between now, nomination morning, and then, of course, Oscar morning. Christopher Nolan taking home his first ever Best Director Oscar. Notably missing from this, on the outside looking in, you have Bradley Cooper for Maestro. To me, I feel like he is in the 5-6 mix with Yorgos in on my personal or on my predictive ballot. You know, you have Yorgos, you have Bradley Cooper. There's definitely several directors in this mix just in tryout for Anatomy of a Fall. How does that play here? Does Alexander Payne for The Holdovers get some love? There is a lot of different names you're going to see, and I feel like I said, outside of Nolan and Scorsese, those two are locked in, right? Gerwig is a soft lock. So if we're talking about those three, then we're talking about what are the next two. And I really feel like you have so many different players here between Yorgos, Alexander Payne. I do think Cord Jefferson could find himself in the conversation depending on how American Fiction performs over the next few weeks. And then Celine Song for Past Lives is in that conversation, who I think is a wild card Oscar morning, depending on how that film gets peppered throughout the entire nomination morning. But Bradley Cooper is one that I had in my fifth slot last month, but it's somebody that I really feel like I want to see it. Is it deserved? Absolutely. You know what I mean? It's definitely a great directed film, but right now, I feel like all the momentum is in the favor of other people. Now the film obviously is set to come out. Hopefully it can garner some love across the board, whether that looks like more critic group nominations, whether maybe that's a win somewhere, which I do think that's hard when you have Nolan in the forefront of this category. But some any award love period would be good for him because um you need that momentum kind of going into the award season. So that being said, my five Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Jonathan Glazer, The Zone of Interest, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and my current and locked in predictive winner for the Best Director category, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. Folks, tell me who you're five in, or who are your five into the Best Director race. Also, tell me who you think are some wild cards that maybe I didn't mention that could be in the conversation for this Best Director race. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop some comments, subscribe, do the whole liking thing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.